I'm just waiting for them to release Omos. And like, I don't ever want anyone like we actually Frankie and I saw him at Comic-Con. Um, guy's fucking gigantic.
Is he like almost 7 foot tall?
Oh, way taller. If that's what almost 7 feet looks like, there's no way. He looked like he must have been 10 feet tall. The guy was a fucking giant. Um, from that perspective, it's cool. I know the visual of him and Braun in the ring together is cool. He's just bad at wrestling. He's bad. Like, and I said this before, like he was in a tag team with AJ Styles for like a year. AJ Styles is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. If you team with him for a year, you travel with him, you're staying in hotels, you're hanging out all the time for a full year, and you still suck, it's not going to get better.
He's
Like,
7'3".
dude, it's not his fault, man. Guys that are that big are not wrestlers.
Right.
They're just not. I mean, we talked about the great Khali, not a wrestler. He's an eighth wonder of the world. That's what a guy
Right.
like Omos is. He's just too big to be good.
Right.
It's a cool visual, but once the bell rings, you're like, wow, this guy sucks. Like he had a match at Mania against Bobby Lashley. It sucked. It was really bad. Bobby Lashley is really good. Braun Strowman for a big man is pretty good.
Right.
Omos sucks. He just sucks. I don't
Who
know
came
how
up
else to
with
say
the...
it. It just end the experiment. I don't want to go on a full rant, but stop it. Stop it with Omos. I've had enough. Everyone's had enough. If you're not gonna put the fucking Holly rocket ship on him and make him the champion like they did, just end it. Just end it. Let this guy, I don't know, like go do Hollywood movies. He's like 10 feet tall. He could be the villain in any Fast and Furious movie. But stop it. Stop it it's not gonna work. It's not going to work. You already so they beat him now. Where do you
Right.
go from here? Where does Omos go after this match? If you're
Jesus Christ.
booking a wrestling match, you're picking the winner and the loser, and you're deciding afterwards where do these two people go. Omos needs to go the fuck home and stay there. It's over, bro. I'm so fucking done with this. Like, can we stop pretending that this guy
Bro.
is like, is there, man? I want so badly for there to be a future for him in the WWE. If
Man.
Vince McMahon was still running the show, Omos would be in like a pink onesie right now, fucking coming out with like a line of 10 women and like dancing in the middle of an episode of Raw. Like it would be over. He would be comedy jobber, 24/7 champion. And Triple H has given him more opportunities. And all he's showing is that he can't wrestle. I don't know how to be nice about it anymore. It's just bad. What were the other matches on the show? Now I'm mad.
so,
I don't want to do
so
this anymore.
so the first match that I saw was Drew McIntyre versus it's Karrion Kross, right?
Yes.
And because I was working from home that day and I forgot it was Crown Jewel, so I turned it on for a bit. I still don't know as much about Drew McIntyre as compared to you guys. Whoa, so you know what? That reminds me from speaking of Drew McIntyre, because we just did an episode about Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul. Didn't Drew McIntyre also just recently face Reigns for the
Oh
belt?
yeah, he beat Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, and
Wow.
McIntyre had the home field advantage, but besides the point, I thought the match was really good for the most part. It could have been a bit longer. I went back and saw how many matches there were total. I felt like it wasn't that many matches in the card, despite wasn't it like a 4 hour, 5 hour show, something like that?
Yeah, I think I could be wrong. I think it was like 7 or 8 matches. Not that many.
And
There
it
have
was
there have been
interesting.
there have been Saudi shows where there have been like an ungodly amount of matches.
Yeah.
Uh,
We had so it was a steel cage,
yes.
um, which I've seen. I think I've seen more Hell in a Cells than I've seen steel cage matches.
Yeah, they don't
Um,
do steel cage matches that much anymore. Probably because steel cage matches aren't that good.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say it. They're just not.
I will say, because a while back we had this discussion about Drew McIntyre and I guess even other wrestlers where they kind of go through some kind of like not a reinvention type of thing, but you know what I'm saying? Like they changed their character to better fit them. Because wasn't Drew McIntyre originally part of that boy band thing with Heath Slater?
We don't need to talk about that
Right.
phase
So
of Drew's life.
his whole like it's the whole Scottish thing. Like I think it's great. You know, he comes out with the sword and the fires on the stage, and just his demeanor and the way he wrestles, I think is great. I guess you could say I'm kind of becoming a bit more of a Drew McIntyre fan recently.
Yeah,
I'm not
man,
like a
he's awesome.
diehard, you know, but he's pretty cool. Of course, the Karrion Kross and Scarlet entrance is by far one of the greatest entrances of all time, in my opinion.
I mean,
Um,
I don't think that's a controversial take at all. That's one
yeah,
of the best entrances.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
unfortunately attached to somebody who's just not that interesting of a performer. But
Yeah. So I do think that the Drew match was interesting. The ending could have been better. You didn't watch the match, so do you know how it ended or no?
yeah, actually, I mentioned this in my prediction of how the match would probably end, which is that one guy would try to climb over the cage and one guy would try
Hmm.
to climb out the door.
Yeah.
Which is exact. And I said Drew would probably try to climb out of the cage, and Carrion would go for the door because he's the heel, and that's how it works. Even though going for the door is way easier than climbing out of the
Right.
cage.
Just get up and walk to the
But yeah, I think that I did say Drew was going to and should win the match. Because Karrion Kross, I don't quite understand why he's not more interesting,
Hmm.
because the vibe that I got from him for a long time, at least how I've been describing it, is that he feels like he should be Brock Lesnar. He's got the look. He's
Right.
fucking jacked. He's got a crazy entrance. He's got a freaking hot ass wife who comes with him to the ring all the time. Like, you're certainly checking off all the boxes of like how to
Right.
get over with the, main roster crowd. And I think that him losing this match kind of shows that they are gonna take a little bit of a break from carrying Cross for a while. At least I hope that's what this is signifying, because yeah, Drew deserves. I guess you can't really put him back in the main event, but he at least deserves to like maybe face Walter or Gunther for the Intercontinental title, or just something a little bit more substantial than.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, he's the. Oh, I guess he wasn't on Saudi show, but he faced Rey Mysterio last week. Um, yeah, so I don't know. Did you enjoy the match? I can't imagine it was that good.
I think. Oh, you know what? Oh man, there was a part that I enjoyed. Oh, so freaking cool. Karrion Kross had Drew in the corner, upside down, and Drew just like lifts himself up to like grab Karrion. I think it like throws him back over or some shit. If I find a clip, I can like put in the share it for the video. But it was something where you didn't expect him to be able to do that, and when he did it, I was just like, wow, that's really cool.
This the turnbuckle spot?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's done that. He's done that before. That's a
See,
good spot.
I've never seen that, and it was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this is fucking cool. Like, so I did enjoy that part of it. I just think seeing Drew McIntyre now is just like I recently, for those who don't know this about me, which you probably don't, I've been trying to take a bit more heritage pride. I'm Hispanic, or we're all Hispanic and Latino, whatever. But so when I see someone doing the whole, I'm Scottish, so I'm going with the whole Scottish thing, like taking pride in who you are, what you do. I respect that. I appreciate that. Um, so yeah, the match could have had a bit more better moments. The whole pepper spray thing with Scarlett was kind of stupid. Um,
Yeah, it's also exactly what they did in the last match at Extreme Rules, which
yeah.
is again kind of an interesting decision, but
So that was kind of dumb. And as you said, also the one guy climbing the cage, the other guy crawling to the door is like, bro, you.
yeah, yeah.
So
It's very hard to make that look not silly.
yeah.
Um, but they
The
tried.
the 6-man match. We had the OC versus the I'm blanking on their name right now, and I don't
Judgment
know why I
Day.
am. Judgment Day, yeah. Well, I almost said New Days. That's not New Day. New Day is fucking
They're
yeah.
a little
It's
too pale to be the New
yeah.
Day.
Like I'm a bit tired. It's late, but yeah. So Judgment Day. I don't know any history about the OC. You obviously would know more about me about that. Um, but I don't really care for Dominic Mysterio because reasons. Um, and Finn Balor, as much as I hate to face off against him in the games, Finn Balor does still have, some skills that I respect as a wrestler. Don't know much about Damian Priest. Um, don't know if he has anything going on with Rhea Ripley because they were dressed exactly the same way, same hair, the same outfit. So
He does not. She is dating somebody else.
okay,
Yeah.
it's not you, is it? Because no, I was
I know. I'm sorry to dash your hopes, man. She is off the market.
but I think the Judgment Day, I don't want it to say it's a similar situation of Roman and the Usos, where like I don't think Rhea is needed to like help them win, but occasionally she will do something to like help them win, I guess. But it's okay because we like Rhea Ripley and she can do
Yeah.
whatever the hell she wants. But with the OC, because you have AJ Styles, I'm still not very knowledgeable in him. People love him. I haven't seen enough of him to know why. I'm not saying that he's terrible. I have no idea. Obviously he's not terrible. It's obvious he's not a terrible wrestler. I just am not a big enough fan to know about his skills and everything. But Luke Gallows, that was a big surprise when you guys told me when I first heard of him. Like, who's this guy? Like, oh, that's Festus from back in the day. And
Yeah,
I was
bro.
like,
He's
no, the
actually
fuck it
pretty
ain't.
good at
I was like,
wrestling.
no, it's not. Like, yeah, it's him, and that was pretty cool. The other guy, who's the other guy on the OC?
Carl Anderson.
Yeah, him. I have no idea anything about him.
Yeah, well, you were out of the game for a bit when those guys originally came back to
Yeah,
WWE. They were in New Japan for a while, which is another wrestling promotion in Japan. They were part of the Bullet Club, which is an extremely popular faction in Japan. And
yeah,
they and Finn Balor were part of it, and then AJ Styles came in, and yeah, it was a very, very popular faction. So this was sort of a dream match. I think that it's leading to a one-on-one Finn AJ match. I just don't know when. I don't know if they would do that at Survivor Series because there's already teams, so it does feel like you do another team match because since Survivor
right,
Series is like a team pay-per-view sort of thing. But I would love to see a Finn Balor AJ Styles singles match where they get like 20 minutes to just go off. Because they're both so good. And yeah, I agree with the booking. I think that Judgment Day needed to win because uh I think that there's a large majority of people who think that they suck. That they're just like a boring group of losers with they don't have any championships. For whatever you say about the bloodline, at least they have titles. It's really hard to book a faction that doesn't have any titles.
right,
And so I think, my philosophy with them is like, you kind of just have to keep showing them winning matches because I don't know any other way that like the casual audience is going to be like, oh, okay, they're a threat. Like, because I think even to me, they still don't really feel like a threat. They feel like, all right, oh yeah, Rhea Ripley, she body slams people sometimes. That's kind of cool. But you know, Finn Balor's cool too, but like it kind of feels like they're babysitting Dom, which maybe that's on
right,
purpose. Um, it would be a little bit easier to take them seriously if like Finn Balor was WWE champion and Rhea was women's champion and Dom and Damian Priest were tag champs. They'd be like, oh shit, like they run
right.
WWE sort of thing.
See,
So
that would have been cool if Edge was still leading it, and maybe Edge versus Roman would be cool. Maybe just
I
because
mean
I'm a big Edge fan.
Roman actually beat him too. Forgot about that. Beat him a couple times actually. He beat Edge a couple times. Yeah, I was gonna say too, like we discussed this with the bloodline, but again, like that was another group that existed before Triple H took over. So
Yeah.
he either could blow them up completely and just be like, all right, none of this happened. Like, we're just going to erase all of that, Men in Black style. Or he could try to see what potential there might be with them. And
Right.
I do think that there is potential. I just think it's a real uphill battle because Edge would have been a way better leader. Just because Finn Balor has not been presented as a big deal, even though he is, like he should be. But the way that, let's be honest, like Finn Balor and Edge are getting two very different crowd reactions. And you're selling more tickets for one of those, matches than the other.
Right.
So
Plus, you also figured only one of those two are currently Hall of Famers.
Well, I mean, Finn is gonna go in eventually, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough. But I think they made the right call because AJ, I was saying this a little bit on the predictions, but he's been losing a lot. So what's one more loss? I'd love to I'd
Because,
love to
like,
see AJ get a W, but he's been losing for like 2 years. So just fucking stack another one on there. But for you, Anthony, if you want to check out some great AJ Styles matches, he had a bunch of really good ones, like first couple years in WWE before Vince just like ran him into the ground. Because he legitimately like carried SmackDown for like 2 full years. But yeah, he
yeah.
had some crazy fucking matches. There was a triple threat. I think it was Dean Ambrose, AJ Styles, and Baron Corbin or Dolph Ziggler, or maybe it was a fatal four-way. But there was, oh my god, the match was fucking insane. Yeah, he had some crazy matches on SmackDown.
Yeah. Because I say
I
with
guess,
Judgment Day, what I like about them primarily is the name and kind of like the aesthetic they're going with. I think putting Dominic is kind of a mistake because I think Dominic is just, I don't really think he's that great. It's hard to live up to, your dad is Rey Mysterio. Like,
yes,
it's really hard to, it's not like The Rock and Rocky Johnson.
yeah, yeah,
So I've anyone else would probably been better. But if they are trying to get Judgment Day to be something as a threat, I I don't know if we'll ever see Bloodline versus Judgment Day, and if we did, would it even be worth watching?
yeah. I mean, I guess you'd have to build a story where they would face each other for some reason, but they're both heel groups, so I don't know. I don't
Just
know
be
if that
like,
would
hey,
ever.
we got three guys, you got three guys.
It's a math feud.
Yeah.
We're good at math. You got three, and then I'm counting
Yeah.
1, 2. Well, would you look at that? We
You
also
know,
have three.
you got a fat man as a manager. We got one of the baddest,
Rhea
women.
Ripley versus Paul Heyman. Now we're talking. Should we talk
Uh,
about Brock and Bobby? Because that match
yes.
was,
So
I
that
was,
one you saw, I didn't get to watch it. So you're gonna, take the reins, so to speak, and
yeah. I mean, it was a pretty short match. It was one of the matches, I'll be honest, that I was looking forward to, just because on paper, like the kid in me still thinks, like I still get excited about like the big heavyweights.
Mhm.
Especially like Brock and Bobby, like those guys were, when we first got into WWE, like those are the guys we were watching. So I was excited for the match. I get like I did. There was this part of me that was like, some of this feels like they're gonna use it as a way to do the real match at WrestleMania because they're not gonna waste this matchup in Saudi Arabia for a pay-per-view that's at 12 p.m. on a Saturday.
Right.
Um, and that's kind of what they did. The match started out kind of cool. Like it was just basically what I had wanted, which was just like both of them just beating each other up a lot. Bobby Lashley like jumped Brock Lesnar during his entrance and like beat him up a bunch, hit the spear a few times. And then the match, Bobby locks in the hurt lock, and Brock's really good at selling. He's really good at making it look like he has an actual knee injury, which I thought he was legitimately hurt. He's just so good at selling. Um, Bobby has him in the hurt lock. Brock is in that submission for an unbelievable amount of time if it's like an effective submission move, even though it's Brock Lesnar. And then Brock runs up the turnbuckle so that he's able to he lands on Bobby, who still has the submission locked in, and the ref, Bobby's aren't like, shoulders are on the mat, and the ref counts 3 while the submission is locked in, which is a dumb finish because you're insinuating that the guy who had the submission locked in, who could surely hear the referee's hands slapping the mat right next to his fucking head, didn't just let go so that he wouldn't get pinned. And kind of a dumb finish, kind of not the ending to the match between these two that I think a lot of people would have wanted, but I think it's because they're doing the real match at WrestleMania next year. So
Plus, Mania goes Hollywood too.
I mean, that's a pretty like Hollywood blockbuster match. You give those two 10 minutes, then you'll see some fucking tables breaking and, Bobby Lashley hitting like 10 spears and a bunch of F5s from Brock Lesnar and all that stuff.
So was it like short? Because the match between Omos and um Braun Strowman, that felt really, really short.
Yeah, this was like 7 minutes maybe.
Oh wow.
I mean, Brock doesn't do long matches just because he doesn't have that many moves. So you really don't want to watch a 30-minute Brock Lesnar match. Like that's not what his character's built as. Also, if your build is the beast, it shouldn't take
Right.
you 30 minutes to beat somebody.
True.
So his matches are always going to be 10, 15 minutes at the longest. Like the match he had against John Cena a bunch of years ago, where he like suplexed him 13 times at SummerSlam. You can't really do long Brock Lesnar matches. Bobby Lashley could go longer just because he has more moves. But again, it's like if Brock Lesnar's in the match, at most it's going 10 minutes if it's like really like explosions all the time, just like action, action, action. Which is what a Brock Lesnar match should be, because he's a big, beefy guy who just throws people around the ring. Yeah, so it was short. It was clearly setting up a bigger match down the line, and kind of disappointing for anyone like me who was like looking forward to them like really going at it. But at the same time, it makes sense that they're not going to do that match twice, so they're saving it for WrestleMania in California.
So there was the Bianca Belair versus Bayley match.
Yes. What did you think, man?
So as expected, I am fairly new to Bayley. I missed her whole NXT run. I remember, wasn't she one of the four horsewomen?
Yeah, Bayley, Sasha, Charlotte, Becky.
Yeah, so I missed that whole thing. Sorry, guys. Like as you may know, I've been out of the game for a long time.
I mean, I
But
think I definitely missed Bayley in NXT. Yeah, I think she was on the main roster by the time I like got invested again.
I know, like, so for the match, because of the last pay-per-view, she did a match against who was it? It was against wasn't it Alexa Bliss, I think, or no? Who did she fight last time?
She faced Bianca for the title at Extreme Rules.
Oh, okay, so it was just another like rematch thing, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So it was that where, and this one, I guess, as well, just going for the weapons immediately, just, trying to, use it to her advantage. But this match, I felt like it was pretty cool, but it started to get cheesy and was kind of like, you got to be fucking kidding me. This is what you're doing. Like, at some point, they're on the stage and Bayley traps Bianca into one of those like boxes, like these, the box that holds the equipment and everything. And it's the last woman standing. So it's like, oh, she got to get out the box or she gets counted out or whatever. And then she grabs a fucking golf car and tries to like run over with a golf car. And then Bianca like gets her on top of the golf car and she drives the golf cart down the ramp. And I was like, okay, is she gonna crash the golf cart into the ring so that Bayley can fly off the top? But no, she drives her down just to like try to slam her through a table. This part, I don't know if it was accidental or if it was meant to happen, but when she goes to like slam her on the table, I think she hits the edge of the table so it doesn't break. And then she had to
Uh-huh.
like pick her up and then slam her again on the table. So I was like, did they
Oh,
mean to do that or did she miss the table and probably could have gotten hurt seriously and then, you know, do it again? But that whole
yeah.
golf cart thing was very silly. The whole box thing was very silly. But you know, I am starting to like Bianca Belair a bit more. I at first I was kind of against her because I was a big Becky Lynch fanboy. Um,
Dude, everybody was. She's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
and then the way that she won, however, was kind of, I guess, cheesy in a way. Maybe I'm wrong because you have more knowledge, but she puts Bayley, like, pins her between a ladder, like she closed the ladder on her, and then
Mm-hmm.
pushes it to the corner so that she has a hard time opening the ladder to get out. But I'm like, you know, she's not fat, so she can fit through the ladder pretty, you know,
Yeah.
and that's how she won. I thought it was kind of like a lame way to win. Like, I think, you know, there definitely would have been better ways to win, but it was a pretty chaotic match. You know, Bayley had the candlesticks, tried to beat her with it. She had her in the corner on the outside, trapped with the steel steps, and then you know she tried to throw the steps on Bayley. It was a lot of chaos. It just kind of got a bit cheesier as the match went on, um, towards the end. But um, you know, I like seeing the opportunities that they're giving the women wrestlers, you know, these championships and the different matches. If you remember the last Royal Rumble, I think is the one where the men's Royal Rumble was god awful and the women's Royal Rumble was fucking
Yeah.
amazing and they had like surprise returns and just
Yeah.
really better action and everything. So, um, wasn't there a pay-per-view where the women's match was the main event?
Yeah, they've done it a couple of times. The one that comes to mind, like immediately to me, was when they did it with a Hell in a Cell match, which I think was like Sasha versus Charlotte or Sasha versus Bayley, or I can't quite remember. Um, and then they did it one night for WrestleMania. It was Becky, Charlotte, Ronda main evented the first night of WrestleMania, which, you know, there's an
Oh
argument over
yeah, that
like what's a main
one.
event and what's not. Um,
Wasn't that the one that Stone Cold came back?
I can't remember. I
Because they had
can't
the 2 night
remember.
one, but I remember that. But yeah, that because you know that match at Crown Jewel, you know, as I mentioned, it was pretty chaotic, but it kind of got cheesy towards the end. Um,
The only thing I like have a problem with about that ending is that they've done that a lot recently with like last man standing or last person standing matches of like, oh, the person can't stand up because of this thing that's be like,
right,
you know, on top of them, or they're in a weird position. They can, like, to me, it's like last man standing. No, I want, or last woman standing. I want them to not be able to get up because they got beaten so badly. Like that's
right,
the point of the match. It's kind of weird that it's turned into this like, oh, if you place enough heavy objects on them, then they can't stand up. Like, yeah, no shit, they can't stand up. Like, okay, sure, you want to get real technical with like last person standing match, but like the point is that it's such a violent match that one person just cannot get to their feet.
kind of like if they did an Inferno match. All it takes now is for someone to sweat a little bit from the fire. Like, oh, they're sweating, they lose.
Yeah, or like a first blood match. Like, you know, like they did this finish at SummerSlam with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, and they piled like the announce table and threw all this extra shit on top so that Brock Lesnar couldn't stand up. But
Right,
that almost makes sense only because it's Brock Lesnar, because
right.
it's someone who's like built up as this crazy strong, like, you know, Godzilla King Kong motherfucker who like can break through anything, and you have to do that in order to keep him down. Otherwise, you'll never be able to keep him down. But if you do that finish with other people, it's, you know, where it's like, oh, now there's no way they can stand up because of this. It's like that's not the point of the match.
Right,
Like, you know what you're doing. You didn't really beat him, you know. You just, you
right.
kind of figured, like, sure, I guess you could bend the rules a little bit, but like it, to me, it's kind of just a lame finish.
Because at
Yeah.
that point, the slam to the edge of the table and then slam onto the table immediately after, that should have been the end of it. Especially if they did botch the first slam and she actually missed the table
Mm.
accidentally. And like I think they said like her spine hit the edge of the table. Like you can see it cracked a bit.
Oof.
That would have been like, hey, you know what? We fucked up. I'm seriously injured, but just put me through this table. I'm gonna lay here, and we'll
Yeah.
end it there. Don't put me through the fucking in between the ladder or against the corner. But I didn't see the other women's match. Wasn't it like a tag match? I think it was.
Yeah, Bayley. No, sorry, shit, not Bayley. Asuka and Alexa Bliss versus Io and Dakota Kai. Yeah, I didn't watch that match either. I did get that prediction wrong because I thought Asuka and Alexa would retain because I didn't want them to keep hot-shotting the women's tag belts around, but they did it again anyway.
Wasn't Alexa
Um,
recently women's champion though?
huh?
Wasn't Alexa Bliss recently women's champion?
Nah, it's been a while. It's been a
So who
while.
was the last women's champion for Ronda?
Liv.
Oh, Liv Morgan. Okay,
Yeah, you're
that's
thinking of a different blonde woman.
yeah.
Um,
Sorry guys, I'm still a casual. They didn't do a SmackDown women's match, right?
No, which
Okay.
was interesting. But again, like it's Saudi Arabia. I don't know if that's a
Yeah.
Saudi thing because the first time I think they just didn't have a women's match at all, and then they finally got one on, and
Okay.
now they got two women's matches on, which is fucking oh my god. I'm surprised the whole country didn't explode. But it's really cool to see that like at least they're really trying. WWE got shit on a lot and deservedly so because Saudi Arabia is a terrible country. Please don't hurt us for saying that.
And then was that all the matches? I know Bray Wyatt had that weird thing going on. I don't know what the deal is with the video post Bray Wyatt's speech thing. Is that like Bray or is that another guy tormenting Bray? Or what the fuck is going on with that?
Yeah, I'm gonna just have to direct you to like Bray Wyatt's Wikipedia page because there's way too much to explain about what's happening with what's going on with Bray Wyatt right now would require you to have been paying attention since he debuted in the WWE with the fucking Nexus as Husky Harris. Like that's how far back you have to be going in order to understand
He
everything
was
Bray
part of
Wyatt's doing.
Nexus back in the day.
Yeah, he was Husky Harris.
Who the fuck is
The OG Nexus. Just you can Google it right after this
this?
episode.
Is like the Nexus back when it had what's his name?
Wade Barrett.
Yeah,
Justin
yeah.
Gabriel, Skip
Justin
Sheffield.
Gabriel. That's the guy who did the 450 thing, or
Yeah.
wow. And it was David
Yeah.
Otunga.
David Otunga,
I did not
Jennifer
know he was it.
Hudson's
So
husband.
I didn't know that Bray Wyatt was. Wow, I didn't even know who else. Okay, I got to do some research because
That's why I told
yeah,
dude, that's why I said
yeah.
like just go to his Wikipedia because otherwise you're not gonna understand what he's doing. Yeah, that was
Shit.
most of the matches we talked about. Roman Logan. I guess we could just very briefly say it was awesome. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's worth it.
Yep. We just
It's
did an
really
episode about Roman and Logan, so guys, check out that episode as well.
yeah.
Because that one we
Yeah.
spent the whole episode on Roman and Logan.
That match was so good that we did a whole separate episode about it. Overall, what would you give the show if you had to rate it out of 5 Usis?
Say maybe oh man, that's hard. uh 2.5 Usis because the
Two
only
and a half
only
Usis? That's
because
not very Usi, bro.
you have
I
the Roman and the Logan thing, which is great. But and then you have other than that, Omos was lame. You said Brock was very short.
all right,
The
careful
women's
what you say
one
about
was
Omos because he's actually my favorite wrestler. So I don't know if you heard earlier. I'm a pretty big fan.
the Judgment Day one was actually pretty good. I enjoyed Drew, but it could have been a bit better. So 2.5 to 3, I say, around that range.
Out of 5 Usis,
Yeah,
2.5 to 3. Oh my god,
yeah.
that is
What would you
brutal.
give it?
I'm giving it like a solid 3.75 Usis.
Is that
Um,
primarily because of the Roman Reigns and Logan Paul?
I honestly think that match was so good that it elevates the rest of the show. Like I almost want to say 4, but I'm like, nah, chill, 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 chill. Like it wasn't like 4 out of 5 is like you got to go watch the show. I think like if you only watch the Roman Logan match, that's probably enough. But that match
Yeah.
is so good that to me it elevated the rest of the show into like, damn, that was pretty good. That's pretty good. Like some, I guess to me it's like some pay-per-views. It's cool if every match is just like a crazy banger, but other ones it's okay if they like slowly build up and then the last match is like, holy shit, that was amazing. That's kind of how I felt with
Except Omos kind of just,
dude, chill. I said chill. Omos is a future WWE champion. All right, you better fucking watch your mouth, dude. I swear, my favorite wrestler. I said a lot of really nice things about Omos in this episode.
I'm literally just laughing and tearing up right now, bro. But that's gonna do it for today's episode.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
I can't even finish my outro because I'm laughing at the. Go ahead, take over. Go.
Thank you guys for tuning in. That is everything we've got today. That is our feedback, reaction, review of Crown Jewel. Appreciate you guys all tuning in. Anchor, Spotify, YouTube. We love you. We will talk to you guys in the next episode.
And a final quick message to everybody. We are pushing our Instagram page and our TikTok that we just put together. Yeah. So yes, check us out on Instagram and TikTok as well. Three Amigos Podcast. We're pushing. We're getting this thing out there and we're gonna make it hot.
Omos, if you're listening, bro, follow us on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok.
Our pages are very oozy. Okay, guys.
They are the oosiest pages of all. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Peace out.